Hi, everyone. So there's a lot of buzzwords everywhere: robotics, IoT, artificial intelligence. But really, this is not the first time that we have encountered the opportunity to really leapfrog over our current state as human beings with technology. From Stone Age to agrarian to industrial and information, we have consistently, as a species, used deep tech or some kind of technology to reach the next level of our evolution. And now we live in what I call the hybrid age, where every part of our lives is going to be completely and undeniably changed and full of technology. So let's have some examples of what our lives will look like in such an environment. How about we start with her? I think she looks pretty cool. She's in China. She's a policewoman. I wouldn't mess with her. And she's wearing the regular glasses that policewomen do. But now she has something else on her glasses. And this is allowing her to see and recognize different individuals on the street. Now, China has 176 million surveillance cameras. Many countries do actually have many millions of cameras. But China has a company called SenseTime. SenseTime is one of the most valued AI companies in the world, and it is a facial recognition software, essentially. Many provinces in China have already partnered with SenseTime to allow police officers to identify criminals. And the Chinese government actually provided SenseTime training data of over 2 billion images. Now, when you have a highly densely populated country like China or India, then security and safety from terrorism becomes a real problem. So this is one way that they have decided to deal with it. So next time you go to China, you give your fingerprints when you're going up and down doing your shopping or your tourism. Some of the police officers may be watching you with more than just their naked eye. What are some of the other things? Well, I don't know about you or how it happens in Estonia, but in many countries, not just in the developed world, but even in places like New York, when you go to the emergency queues, you are waiting there for hours. I have an uncle who had a heart attack, went to the emergency room in New York and waited so long that he had another heart attack. So he's fine now, but the point is that all these health services are completely overwhelmed by demand. And so there are now AI-driven healthcare companies like Babylon Health. And it recently raised $60 million. And essentially what it does is, whenever you have a problem, it gives you 10 to 30 questions and then advises you either on something you can do if it's not life-threatening, or connects you to the right doctor at the right time, so that the emergency rooms really only have the true emergency cases. And when they compared how well the AI doctor does with the normal doctors who take the exam, they found that the AI doctor did as well. And it shouldn't be a surprise to you, because the AI doctor, and I would say that with inverted commas because he's not really a doctor, is just regurgitating a lot of information and processing information that a lot of students learn in med school. Now, this has become quite popular. TELUS Health has picked up Babylon to bring virtual healthcare to Canada. Samsung is bringing it to the UK. And then Prudential has a $100 million licensing deal to serve customers in Asia. Everything we do is going to have AI as part of it, from policing to healthcare to any other thing you can think of in your normal life as a city resident. So what this means is that companies are now taking advantage to enter new domains with data. In the old days, people stayed within their industrial domains. You were either in manufacturing or retail, or you were in healthcare. Now people don't care. If you have data, you can go wherever you want. So I have a question for you. Why is a Norwegian telco buying a bank in Pakistan? Let's dig into Pakistan. Pakistan has 206 million people. Only 15% of those people have a bank account. Can you imagine how many mortgages are outstanding in Pakistan? 206 million people, 60,000. So that's a huge opportunity for any financial service institution to provide banking services. But the banks were complacent. They were not thinking innovatively at that time. And so Telenor moved in. And they started something called Easy Pesa. And Easy Pesa means easy money. Because they had customers on the mobile phone, wherever you go in Pakistan now, whether it's a little shop or you go to a restaurant, you can pay through your mobile phone with Easy Pesa. Now, I had dinner with the CEO of Telenor in Oslo earlier this year, and I was very impressed by him because he realized two things. Number one, that Asia is where a lot of the growth is. And number two, he can be more than a telco. He can actually think of himself as anything he wants because he has access to customers and he has access to their data. So when China's Ant Financial wanted to move into this very potentially lucrative market, did it partner with one of the biggest banks in Pakistan? No, it partnered with Telenor. And eventually, Telenor sold its Eastern European operations, all of them, to actually fully focus on the emerging markets of Asia, which are Myanmar, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Thailand, Malaysia. That's the reason I moved from New York to Singapore, because there is so much growth and potential to use artificial intelligence to unlock value and add and democratize access to services that frankly have very unjustly been kept from people. So I'm talking about all these things, but it's still not clear exactly what it means for a particular domain. So people talk a lot about fintech. Let's assume it's still in its infancy, and it is. And let's make a wish list. So instead of thinking, oh my God, AI is happening to me, what am I going to do about it? Let's instead think, what do I want to do it for me? So all of you are working somewhere, you can make a similar wish list for yourself. The first thing is, if you are in financial services, and I'm just going to use that as an example, you would really want to stop reviewing all those legal documents. For commercial real estate, for loans, for mortgages, there are lawyers who have to look at everything. Wouldn't it be nice if one could not have to do these routine tasks, and instead an artificial intelligence agent could do it? Well, there are companies like that now. Kira Systems raised $50 million to help companies like Deloitte run contract review for commercial real estate. And JP Morgan also had a pilot in which it created COIN, which is contract intelligence. And it also started reviewing loan documents. And it realized that this software could do in seconds what took lawyers 360,000 hours. So, in other words, AI fundamentally disrupts lawyers looking at commercial real estate and other kinds of contracts and banking. Let's think of something else. It would be nice if it could detect fraud and anti-money laundering activity. Did you know that global money laundering activity is 2% to 5% of global GDP, and only 10% of suspicious transactions lead to further reports. There are entire teams of people who are struggling to stop anti-money laundering in financial institutions. Well, then you have systems like IASD. What IASD does is it uses topology, which is a branch of mathematics, to identify and cluster anomalous patterns or strange activity that may indicate that some kind of anti-money laundering or unusual behavior is happening. All these three are from Stanford. The two on the right are professors, and the one on the left is the founder of IASD. And I'm going to show you, actually, this is what it looks like. You can see this is the interface for it, and it is used by a lot of major banks, and they have consistently said that it has significantly improved the way that AML happens in their companies. Okay, let's think of something else. Because remember, in all of these cases that I'm talking about, AI is helping humans. Sure, it's also taking away the routine tasks, so some jobs are lost, but those people are now free to actually do more creative work. Another thing that would be really nice would be that AI should understand you. So if you are working in a bank, let's say you were a trader, and you had some research analysts, and there was a revolution in a country, or a typhoon in another country, it would be nice for you to quickly know the implications for your portfolio. But usually, this takes time. Now, you have Kensho. Kensho is a Google-like search engine, and all you need to do is literally put in your question. For example, you could say, which cement stocks would go up the most when a Category 3 hurricane hits Florida? The platform would then go through 65 million question combinations, possible for any human or team of humans to do, and try to predict what happens to stock prices. And it has such predictions in its database by evaluating and mining hundreds of millions of data points for things such as economic reports, drug approvals, policy changes, political events. And even news sites like CNBC talk about it and use its engine. In fact, it's used by many Wall Street trading desks. And it was bought by S&P for $500 million earlier this year. One of the big success stories of AI in banking. Okay, let's think of another example. You're in insurance. You are fearing a lot of competition. Man, it would be nice if you could think innovatively outside the box. Your boss is telling you to do it. And really, you have some problems in mind. You don't know what to do. How about I give you a problem? In most developing countries, food safety is a problem. India, countries in Africa, Pakistan, Bangladesh, countries in Latin America, it's not clear if the food has been cooked in a healthy way or if the produce has been raised in a healthy way. So let's say you were in a country like that, and you went to the grocery store, not a fancy grocery store, but a low grocery store. And you were having some folks over for dinner, and you decided to make chicken. And you go and you pick up chicken breast in a cellophane-wrapped package. And you think, it's chicken. But is it really? Is it chicken? To be honest, you don't know. It says free range, the chickens were running around happily, but were they really? Or were they cooped up in cages? You don't really know. But here's what one innovative company thought. They thought, somebody will be willing to pay money for that insurance, that assurance that, in fact, this chicken is healthy. And that company is a very innovative Chinese insurtech company called Zhong'an. And here's what they said. They said, we are going to put IoT sensors on the ankles of 23 million chickens so that we know if they have been running around free range or if they've been cooped up. We are going to put cameras everywhere so that we know if the chickens have been badly treated or if they have been healthy. And then we are going to put it all on the blockchain so that from the moment the chicken is born all the way to when it makes it to the grocery store, we will know if anything happened to it. Because remember, there's a lot of corruption in some of these countries as well. So that when you go and have your folks over for dinner at night, you know your chicken is healthy and safe, you know when it was born and how it was raised. You couldn't do this kind of thing if you didn't have deep technologies like artificial intelligence that you were using, or even blockchain that is going to be even more fundamentally disruptive. This is the reason why it's very important to think of artificial intelligence as capable of being in any product. You might not even realize it, but anything you're doing, you should think, how can I solve that problem? And maybe I should talk to an AI engineer and we can figure something out together. But here's what you should never do. You should never treat AI as a science fiction movie, as a black box that you are not capable of understanding. Nobody in this room, and I mean nobody, no matter your age, your gender, your profession, has any excuse not to learn the basics of AI. Just like you have no excuse not to know how to read or write. That doesn't mean you should become a coder, but you should know enough so that you can question the biases and the decisions that were made by AI engineers. Because AI is complicated in the sense that it goes through hundreds of millions of iterations to give you a solution. And the AI engineer or your partner or your teammate should be able to explain it to you, should make it explainable, and you, with your domain expertise, should probe them. Treat AI as a colleague, which means be open to its potential, but also be critical of the way it gives you answers. That's why the European Union's GDPR has actually been really good, I think, in many ways. Here's what it says. Article 22 says, if any algorithm made a decision that significantly impacted your life, for example, let's say you went to a hospital, they wouldn't let you in. You applied for health insurance, they wouldn't give it to you. You asked for a mortgage, they said no. You can ask exactly why they gave you that answer. And today, companies like Google and Facebook and others that rely so much on AI don't give us those answers. I think this will lead to much innovation in artificial intelligence and force everyone to be more open and explainable. And without that, it's very difficult to allow AI to be fully in every product that we have. Even though we see it has so much upside, we need to protect ourselves always from its downsides as well. Thank you.